You so corny.
Welcome back to our third installment of the Corny Dad Podcast, where we highlight and showcase modern day fatherhood and lend support to one another. But we just some corny dads that do dope things with our dope kids. How you fellas feeling?
Man, I feel like $1 million, man.
Amazing.
With inflation, I feel like $1 billion.
So I'm gonna introduce myself. I'm CJ Snuggy Harris.
I am Den Yogi Den at that.
Yogi.
And I'm Osner Charles, also known as Osner. No, how I go again?
Oh,
it's
every
at
time.
Corny Dad
OJC.
OJC. On TikTok. On TikTok.
Yo, we rehearsed this.
If you want these followers, you got to get the handle right. And I am the man that wears many hats. Some people call me Chico. They call me Ace, but my kids call me Papa.
That's what's up.
He practiced that.
Yeah.
You like that, right?
I know he did it in the
You like that?
Yo, he probably do be in the mirror.
I'm over here stumbling over my words. He's like,
He said, who am I again?
call me Papa.
And he's smooth with it too.
You know?
Yo, before we jump into this episode, how you guys feel about the first 2 episodes?
Hey.
Felt good about it. Definitely emotionally draining. Going back in your past, going back in your subconscious, going in your conscious, and going back to how you felt in different traumatic situations. But we got through it, and I feel really good about it. You know, definitely release some stuff out of my muscles, man, for real.
Yeah, and for me, I had an opportunity to watch, the last 2 episodes, and one of the things that I could definitely say was that we were raw, we were authentic, right? Which was honestly the purpose of the show. Right. We received so many calls, so much feedback, right? So much positive feedback about what we're doing as just 4 individuals that's, for the most part, bearing our souls, and at the same time helping to heal ourselves and helping to heal others. Right. Because there's so many other people that went through the same thing, that had a lot to say about some of the situations that we shared.
Right.
Some similar, some different, but nonetheless, it was some great feedback. So I'm very appreciative of the feedback.
Thank you for the feedback, family.
What about you, Ace Boogie?
I mean, absolutely. Internalizing a lot of these things over the years, to finally be able to just put it out in the universe and speak on these things, it was definitely a huge relief for myself, and just having conversations with other people, and they kind of knowing like, wow, I didn't know these were the things that you endured as growing up, and we had healthy conversations about it, and us being able to have these kind of conversations with other people that may be going through these things as well is also uplifting. But this is what we kind of signed up for. This is our service that we're providing to people out there that really want it. But also we need to celebrate as well, no?
Sure. Yeah.
First episode, 1,000 views on YouTube, right? We appreciate y'all.
Clap it up for him.
We really do.
Absolutely appreciate it.
For me, the release of the podcast, it kind of shifted some relationships in my life to where it opened the door for other people to see like my healing journey is for real. To now where we can assist one another in others' healing journeys, because it's necessary. I felt heard after the first episode. It led to some conversations. Other people were calling me about therapy, and they being transparent about some stuff that they're feeling. And I'm glad that we did this, because otherwise people wouldn't have known that I took those steps for myself. And now they're looking at me and us to help, not lead them, but just let them know that it's okay to sacrifice for yourself.
Absolutely.
And it's truly a sacrifice, because you got to sacrifice a piece of you to want to dig back and figure out how something impacted your life and your path, and understand where you are in this moment. So with that being said, we talked a lot about our experiences with our fathers, our invisible influence. Today's episode, I raised the question of, we're gonna call it the first 48. And what was that moment like when you found out you were about to be a father for the first time? Like, so just dive back into just that moment of like, hey, I'm having a baby, and I think it's yours. So, no, but seriously, like just dive into just that feeling, or those emotions attached to it. And I know some of us were young, some of us were older, but some of us were older but still young, because your age doesn't make you mature, and it doesn't prepare you for the journey of being a father. So those first emotions attached to when you found out you were going to be a dad. Let's start with. As a matter of fact, Ace. Let's start with Ace.
Yeah, let's start with Ace.
Let's start with Ace. Let's go backwards.
Well, for me, I was a little bit older. I was about, I think when I had my son, I was about 27 years old. And just being around, all my friends, we're all around the same age. A lot of my friends didn't have children, some did. And for the most part, I could say that all the people that I associate with, my friends, my nuclear family, associates, all of them were, for the most part, present fathers. They always spoke of their kids, spent time with their kids. But for some, their children were accessories, like they had a kid, and they would, go by and see their children from time to time. Maybe they would have their children from time to time. But, as men, we never discussed, like, deep relationships with our children, like how we would, deal with them emotionally, it was just more like the finance part. Like, yeah, I just bought them a new pair of sneakers, or I just took them to the park. But we really never dove in what it took to be a father. So, once again, in my situation, I didn't have a father figure there, so I didn't have a book on how to be a good father or how to be a parent at all. Fortunately, Amir's mom, my Wiz, she really helped mold me to really understand what it was and the importance of being a father and just being there for your child. Not only, like C said in the last couple of episodes, financially, but emotionally as well. And for me, my son, he gave me a different outlook on life. Like, wow, now I have a human being that I'm responsible for. Like, this is not just like, okay, it's a baby, ooh, cool, baby shower, it's lit. Now, this is for the remainder of your life, you will be responsible for this individual and their development and everything else that is associated with it. So, we had been trying for some time, so it's not like it was like oops, here it is. It was more, it was more like, okay, I'm gonna do what it do, and, it's here. This human being is here. How are we gonna make the necessary adjustments?
Yeah, so what did you feel when she's like, yo, like you said you were trying for some time, when she was like, yo, it's happening, I'm pregnant. What was your reaction?
It's like, you kinda excited. It's something that you're working towards, but you're like, oh, ish. Like, this is for real now. This is a real thing. Like, anytime I think, we always thinking about, hey, we're gonna do this or we're gonna get that. But when it really happens and it's like, okay, we're here at this moment, it's going down, you're like, whoa, you know what I mean? So I'm turning around and once again, like I said, like all my friends that I knew that had children, we never had that conversation on like, hey, how do you go about this? How do you go about that? But fortunately enough for me, I have a younger brother, 19 years in difference, so when my younger brother, shouts out to Black Sack Daniel.
Black Sack.
Black Sack. I was able to plausible name. Listen. For me, it was a definite experience for me because I was able to change diapers. Like, he was with me. I took care of him. I fed him. And a lot of times, people would see me walking around with my little brother, and they'd be like, "Oh, your son is so cute," and I'm like, "Damn." They gonna think my mama a freak. Like, look at the big age difference. I'm like, yeah, thank you, I appreciate you. So
Happy Father's Day.
Word up. I got Happy Father's Day before I was actually a father. So that helped me and curate me to, I guess, get ready for the real deal.
Right. Oz, I got it right.
To be quite honest with you, my first 48 was horrifying, bro. I was scared to death. You understand what I'm saying? I was scared to death. When my partner told me that she was pregnant, I was scared to death. My son was conceived in love. Absolutely, 100%, he was conceived in love. But at the time, you know, I was doing too much. You feel what I'm saying? I was doing way, way, way too much. And as a person who understood at an early age, right, the necessity of being present in your child's life because I didn't have it, right? It was overwhelming for me, bro. Like, to be quite honest with you, it was overwhelming. Honestly, it was probably one of the most scariest things that ever happened to me in my life. I was scared to death, you know? And, you know, in that first 48, you know, I had to be honest with a lot of people, and I had to confess, you know, my truths to a lot of people. You dig what I'm saying? At a young age, you know, we do certain things and we hurt certain people in our lives, right? And intentionally, right? We don't really understand the magnitude of the hurt, the pain, and the drama that you cause people. You just don't. Like, honestly, I just really didn't understand it. And because of that, it ended up causing, you know, me and my partner a lot of pain, and that pain lasted way beyond the first 48. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. It lasted way beyond the first 48. So for me, the first 48 hours, you know, from the time that I received the news that, you know, my partner was pregnant and we was gonna have a child, I was afraid, man. That's the best answer, right? I was afraid. And at the time, you know, as a man, the first thing you think to yourself is, yo, I gotta provide, right? Right? I didn't have any means to provide. I had zero means to provide. I didn't. So that right within itself became an issue for me. You feel what I'm saying? And then secondly, you know, I didn't think about just providing for my child. I thought about providing for my family, right? Because now my partner is now my family. You understand what I'm saying? There was a rhyme when we were growing up. May says, "I don't want you living average, pushing the cat." Like you understand what I'm saying? And that just, it resonated with me. Where, you know, by no means is, you know, my partner, has she ever been, you know, a person who ever needed anything from anybody. She's self-sufficient. She's solid. You feel what I'm saying? But as a man, you want to be able to provide. You want to be the person that stands tall. You feel what I'm saying?
Dad, say it again.
You want to be the person that, you know, ultimately your child grows up looking up to, right? I didn't know, you know, when you first 48, you don't know what you have in a boy or girl. Regardless of what you have, and you know you have in a human being that you got to do what you got to do for, right? Whether it's a boy, it's a girl. You just want to put your best foot forward. And unfortunately, you know, I could honestly say my first 48 hours was very traumatic for me, and ultimately I passed that trauma on to my partner and so many others.
Right. Yogi?
It's on you, bro.
It's on me?
I'm still trying to gather my bearings, bro.
I remember, so like you guys, my oldest son, Caden, was conceived out of love. The night he was conceived was the night that I actually asked his mom to marry me. And I'll never forget it. But when I found out she was pregnant, let's fast forward the story. I was working at Kutztown, and I had just left the gym.
You had a job?
Come on, man. Come on,
Snubs,
man.
AKA.
What was your job?
Oh, damn.
I was in charge of player development and scouting.
It sounds so good.
Yeah, man. Flex. I spent a lot of time in the gym with the players. But I had just left the gym, and I was on my way to my apartment, and she called me. She was like, "Yo, like, I got a surprise for you." I'm like, "What?" I'll never forget. I was in I drive cars that I love, not the cars that I can have. I was in the GTP, a Pontiac GTP, a red one, two-door jar. Her name was Roxy. And she was like, "I got a surprise for you." And I was like, "What, dog? What's up with you? Like, why are you so excited?" She was like, "I'm pregnant." I'm like, "Yo," I played the cool, like, "Yo, that's what's up." Like, that's what's up. And then what I did now looking back is I robbed her of her experience. because I played it so cool. I didn't show my excitement because I was excited. I was proud at that moment. Like when she told me, but I'm too cool. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm too cool. Like I'm too cool with everything. Like so, but then I told her I'm gonna call you back. I pulled over. So it was like a little shopping center. I pulled over, and I remember just taking a deep breath and like, what the F am I going to do? And so my proud moment turned to a moment of panic. And that panic lasted probably until I saw his face the first time. So now imagine, I just told you, like it was a moment where she was proud. I robbed her of her experience. So imagine how she felt for the next 9 months. So that's supposed to be a time, and this is me in my latter years and looking back and understanding what it means to be pregnant. Even though I haven't been pregnant, but just the joy that women find in being pregnant and having a partner to accompany you along your journey. I robbed her of that because it's like, all right, well, I got to do what I got to do to make sure he's straight. Not realizing that providing isn't just when he gets here. It's taking care of his house at that moment. His house at that moment was his mom, and I robbed her of a lot of stuff. So now you talking about like being present and causing pain. That pain endures to this day. Like we're still dealing with that trauma because I didn't understand what it meant at the time, and I just recently began to understand what it meant. You know, so yeah, like it's that first 48, I was proud, but then I panicked. Like it was like I gotta do this. Like, yo, what are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Like it created a big disconnect, and I didn't reconnect. Believe it or not, until after episode 1. That's when I finally like just began to like voice things that I felt like. I even think back to that time, and I just feel disappointed in myself. You know what I mean?
That's real talk. Yeah. That's real talk.
You had a moment of reflection.
You're actually speaking from, like honestly, you said everything that I actually felt. You dig what I'm saying? Because I feel like you and I, we have a similar journey. Like,
right.
Like with my partner when she got pregnant. Like, to be quite honest with you, I became emotionally unavailable.
Right.
And that emotional unavailability wasn't because I didn't love her. Because like I said, my son was conceived in love. This was the woman that I knew that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. You feel what I'm saying? But the real issue was, it was about ego, pride, right? How are you going to stand up? How are you going to be a man? Because honestly, at that particular point in time, there was no blueprint, right?
No blueprint.
There's still no blueprint.
There's still no blueprint. Yeah, there's still no blueprint. There's still no blueprint. And for me, I really feel like, you know, when it comes to me and my partner, you know, you said, you know, you didn't feel your connection back until episode 1. To me, I didn't feel connected or present until the baby shower. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. Throughout the baby shower, now I'm running around, I'm happy. I'm like, oh my God, this is really happening. Right. There was a point in time, right? You know, a lot of things like sort of kind of freak me out. I don't eat certain food, like because it looks weird and that kind of stuff. But her belly and the child moving, like I wasn't the dude that was like, let me rub your belly and let me love on this. To me, I was sort of kind of like, ugh, right? Not just ugh, but I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to hurt the child, right? Because I don't have no practice in this. You feel what I'm saying? And I never honestly got to see somebody actually do it. Because all of my friends, guess what? They never lived in the same home with the woman that they were pregnant with. With the woman that they got pregnant. They never did. Like, you understand what I'm saying? At that time, it wasn't a real thing. Because people weren't married. You know, cats was out here just having children all willy-nilly. Right? Yeah. They're just having kids willy-nilly. So there was really no practice where I could say, well, you know, I saw this person touch this and it was just fine. Cliff Huxtable didn't show me that. Like, you understand what I'm saying? If that was my only that was my only resource. Cliff never showed me that. There was no shows that showed you how to really take care of your woman while she's pregnant. So there were certain things that, like, you know, it's just ignorance. Like, I really, you know, if I could turn back the hands of time, I would turn back the hands of time, and I would literally, at this moment, not to say that I wouldn't want justice, but if I could turn back the hands of time right now is the moment where I would get my partner pregnant, right?
Dad, say it again.
Now is the moment. Like, now is the moment, right, where you have a little bit more experience, where you understand life a little bit more, where I'm smart enough to know that if I go and touch and massage her belly, nothing's gonna go wrong because
it's actually a form of comfort.
It is.
And reassurance.
Correct.
I think that for me, especially until recently, I wasn't a reassuring type of man. When you spoke about the baby shower, that's also a trigger for me, because back then we were transitioning from tradition, which was baby showers were traditionally all for women. So it's like, what I gotta come to a baby shower for? I mean, like, I don't care if I went to somebody else's baby shower. Like, dog, like, who wants to connect friends and stuff like that? Like, I was an a-hole, man. Like, yo, I'm being serious, bruh. Like, it was like I didn't understand it, but I'm one of those people where I'd rather be alone. But once I get into a room, I act like I own it. I belong there. So for her to experience that in that instance for something that was supposed to be for us, bruh, again, this is one of those, I was ashamed looking back. Like, I'm ashamed looking back because nobody else saw it. She might have told people, but nobody felt it like she felt it. And it's a disservice to her, and it was unfair, man. Bruh, like, that stuff, it affects us. It affects just the dynamic of our relationship to where even our parenting styles, you know what I mean? Like, so it hurt us more than helped us. So, but and that's one of those things I carry, and it's like, it is what it is. But when you really have to talk about it, it's like, dang, bro, like, I was wrong. I was wrong, and I wish I can go back and just be a little bit better. Not to change the outcome of how things turned out, but just because it's not fair to her. You know what I'm saying? Like, one thing you said in episode 2 was just be good to people. Just be good to people. You know what I'm saying? Like, be good to people. And I wasn't good to my people. And she was my person at the time.
You know what? You actually just touched on something. My bad, Dan.
No.
Because we gonna load Den up right.
Yeah,
so it's getting
do your thing.
I think one of the biggest issues, you know, I faced during my first 48 and beyond was I just wasn't a good friend. Right. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Like my partner, my best friend. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Like, your bestest best friend. Like, this is the person that knows, your deepest, your darkest secrets. Like, you feel what I'm saying?
Mine didn't.
See?
You know what I mean?
Yours didn't. Mine, I'm gonna be honest with you, my partner, my world, bro. And guess what? When it all boils down to it, because this was her first child, mine too, and I wasn't really there to hold it down. You feel what I'm saying? And I wasn't there to hold it down the way that I would have wanted to in hindsight, right? I did what I had to do back then in order to keep myself sane, right? And I did what I needed to do to allow my ego to be, you know, to run rampant, right? To let my pride run rampant, right? But at the end of the day, I wasn't able to take care of her. Right? When we talking about being good to your people, that's what I'm talking about, being able to take care of her. I didn't take care of her during that time.
But let's be clear, and then I guess we'll go to Den after.
Look, y'all do what y'all gotta do. Look, if y'all got on your heart, get off your heart.
You know, we were pregnant at the same time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Our partners was pregnant at the same time. But I remember going through that moment with you because I was there, and it was a lot of confusion. It was a lot of trying to kind of get your bearings and stuff like that. So in between handling your emotions to be able to kind of be there for her, it was a lot. So don't be so hard on yourself because your foundation at that point in time was very shaky. You had a lot going on. You your mind was all over the place, and yes, you would have wanted to do these things for her, and she deserved that. But a lot of times people have to understand that in order for you to help people, you got to, like they say on airplanes, right? Before you help anyone, make sure you put on your mask. Put on your mask first,
help yourself.
And then you can assist other people in the process. And keep in mind again, it was both your first child.
I'm gonna chop that up and make it seem like you stormed out.
Yeah. Yo, man, listen.
I'm gonna chop that up and make it like he stormed out.
Yeah. Oh man. No, but
Yo, you too old for that, Dan.
I was trying to hold it so I could go.
Yo, he was trying to look uncomfortable. I thought he was uncomfortable because he was gonna have to speak, but not because.
Nah, cause you want to lean over to me. I got the earphones on. I'm like, what you say, nigga?
Man,
He's like, I gotta use the bathroom.
This one finna be a doozy. This right here, cause there's a lot of dudes that I know that have been through the same exact situation. A lot. And could never talk about it from this vulnerable state, bro.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, like that. I almost got teary-eyed right there. I almost let it go.
You should have let
it
go.
fly. Let it
Like-
fly. Let it fly. You too.
Yeah.
Like y'all, it was getting intense.
Yeah, but I seen every time I see him ready to get yo, cause I don't know, man. Like I feel like a piece of shit, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, and looking back, cause I wish she could experience me. Now this goes back to what I said at the end of Invisible Influence. If she could experience
See
me
your
now,
growth
it'd be
now,
different.
yeah.
I hate to do that to y'all.
Nah, it's all good. No, I mean, but truly and honestly, the fact that which one of your mans you saw that had a baby that was like, yeah, this is happening, and I'm about to go.
Yeah, I'm about to say I was the first one.
That's cool.
Yo,
Wow. Who was talking?
We go. I think I was wrapping up what I was saying to see, as far as like stop being so hard on yourself. At that moment in time, you were in
He was
the baby.
offering them therapy. I couldn't even.
so it's cool if I just transition to then.
Yeah, because I was wrapping up what I was saying anyway. So transition to then and let him rock out.
Give me a cue whenever you're ready. So then, tell us about your first 48.
So the first 48 for me was, I'll take y'all back, 2007, Kutztown University. In my junior year, just lost my dad, 2005. It was a tough 2 years leading up to the junior year. I was broke. I was just in a bad place, in a tough space. And my partner at the time was London's mom, Sharice. And just like you guys said that you guys had, you had the baby out of love, right? I'm sure we had ours out of a turn up. I'm sure it was after a party, you know what I'm saying? And it was a turn up. We were just having fun. We was college kids, you understand? 20 years old, just having a good time in school. And I remember when she called me, she was on her way to class. Walk with me for a second. She was on her way to class, and I got a phone call. And I didn't even have a phone at the time. It was her phone. It was one of her phones. She had a phone. She gave me one of her phones. So she called.
Had 2 phones?
He was trapping?
Recent. We're on the air, right? So she lent me one of her phones. I didn't have one. And she had called me, and she was like, "Hey," and I can tell in her voice something was wrong, and I knew then that she was pregnant. I knew before she even said anything out of her mouth. I knew what she was about to say. I felt it in my gut. She said, I was on my way to Lytle, and I stopped at the DMV because I had to throw up." And I was like, fuck. I said, "Okay, how you feeling now?" She's like, "I'm feeling all right. Think you can go to class?" And like, I'm not even being sensitive at all. I'm just thinking like, yo, let's just get past this. Like, you're not pregnant. I'm thinking in my head, you're not pregnant. Just go to class. This is just a hiccup. You may be sick or whatever the case may be, because I'm thinking in my head, I can't have this happen. Not right now. It's just not a good time, right? So she was like, okay, I thug it out, So she went to class, and then a couple of days later, she went to the nurse, and the nurse told her that she was pregnant. I said, okay. She came back, and all the love guys you guys were talking about, yeah, that wasn't me. So I'm like, okay, so you know what's on the table, right? And this, oh my God. So I told her, I said, you know what's on the table, right? And she's looked at me like, what? I said, abortion. I said, we definitely going that route, right? And she like, this is my baby London, man, I'm talking about. And I just had a conversation with her the other day. So I'm like, yeah, you know, that's on the table. So we spent probably like the next two months, I would say month and a half, right? Month and a half, 2 months, just really just working through making lists, checking them twice. Like a list of the pros, a list of the cons. And I'm telling you, my con list was way longer than her pro list. And I thought that we was going to make that decision. And she was like, all right, you know, I'm thinking on it. And I thought I convinced her. So I convinced her. I went back to my dorm room thinking I did what I was supposed to do. And I came back the next day and she was like, I'm not aborting the baby. And I'm like, well, I ain't messing with you like that. And that's when the strain in our relationship really started, because now we at odds. She wants one thing, I want another thing. And when we talking about topics, we're talking about current events and what's going on in our space right now with abortions, Roe v. Wade, right? And it's like, yo, back then I'm like, yo, with no, you know, I think I had the freedom to choose too, right? I'm like, well, it was both of us. Mm-hmm. But in that freedom to choose, I had no responsibility at all. I took no responsibility for my part in what happened there at all. I just wanted her to do what I wanted her to do, which was wrong. So we fast forward, and we come to the conclusion that we're having this baby. And I'm like, okay, but now she's pregnant. And I think this is just an overall theme, arching theme with us, right? Us four and a whole bunch of other men out there right now that I know you're hearing this episode and you're like, damn, yo, it's taking you back to when you were with your wife or your girlfriend and she was pregnant. Yo, I treated her.
Or just some girl you met at the club.
Or some girl you met at the club. I treated her with so much disdain and disrespect. So much disdain and disrespect, not understanding because of my resentment for her, right? Not understanding that I was not only harming her, I was also harming our child.
Mm. Right.
Right? Because they are one at this very moment, at this point in time. And my baby, when I was talking about it the other day, my baby's 14 now. Thank God she's here in London.
Bunny.
Yo, she May 20th. Yo, she just sends me little things like this. Hey, Dad, just wanted you to let you know that I am proud of you and you accomplishing your goals. You are a good dad, a wonderful dad, and I thank you for all that you do. 14 years ago, if we'd have made the decision not to have her, I wouldn't have that in my life.
Right.
Bars.
I wouldn't have that in my life. And I'm like, and I thank Reese all the time. I just call her. I'm just like, yo, thank you for making that decision for us. You know, thank you for making that decision and taking responsibility for what we did. So, you know, after the pregnancy, and just like I believe Snug, you said, I didn't, and I was scared, right? I was scared. I was broke. I ain't have nothing. Right? I ain't have nothing. How was I going to take care of this child? How was I going to provide? And then going back to saying, yo, I watched how my dad provided for us. How am I going to hold up to that? Right? How am I going to hold up to what my dad did for us? Now I'm getting into I'm afraid. I got anxiety, and I'm like, yo, once London hit my hands, it was game over. I said, oh, I know what to do. It's like you automatically get a download to say, I know exactly what to do. And I went out and I got it. And I made sure we got it. We made it happen. So that was my first 48.
That's a remarkable story, man. Remarkable story, bro.
So one thing that we all touched on is that I might have used the word panic. And we all did, it seems like. Because we're taught by society that providing is the man's responsibility. You said you were broke. I said I had to figure it out and make it happen. You said you need to provide, and you said same thing with providing. Like, you got to figure this thing out. Why do you guys think that the pressure, because it really was pressure at those moments, like it was pressure, that pressure rolled over or enhanced, or, you know what I'm saying, at that moment, like, yo, I got to get it. I think that, and I think I said it first episode where we go nature versus nurture. We men, we choose nature over nurture. where we didn't nurture as much. I didn't nurture as much, and it caused the stain in the relationship I had at the time because you were broke. Listen, cons outweigh your pros, right? And you like, like I didn't take care of my family because she was my family at the time, and in your mind, it was like, the family doesn't happen at that time. The family doesn't happen until he gets here. So I'm gonna do what I can while I can before he gets here. And you figured it out with your wife. I love that. Like, I love that. You guys came up with a plan, and I wish that I was mature enough to do that. But
But I don't know if you peeped the difference between all of us sitting here and Ace. Ace was the only person who had a child in wedlock. None of us was married when we had our child.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
So being married and being able to plan a child is completely different than us. You on a college campus trying to figure it out. You coming back from a practice trying to figure it out. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm over here twiddling my thumbs, looking stupid trying to figure it out.
And I even think like the partnership, like you said, you reference your partner. Like that partnership in like marriage is a big thing. And if you don't have it, because I operated a long time in a marriage without a partnership. It was just both of us surviving and just living under the same roof or trying to make it work or surviving however we had to survive as individuals. Absolutely. So I commend you for figuring it out and making it work, because you put a lot of emphasis on nuclear family based off of your experiences. And I kind of ran from that because I didn't have it, I didn't see it, and I didn't make that decision. So you made a conscious decision to do that. So, Marv, can we get some claps for Ace Boogie out here, man?
Word, man. You should see his family all together, man. They're perfect as a family. They're beautiful.
They got a white picket fence and a door.
They all look alike. It's crazy.
It's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work, and once again, like I said, like not having the nuclear family, having people that you see around you that you can go to and be like, yo, man, how'd you do that? How's this work? You know, having someone that may have went through the same situation that you went through. Like somebody's watching this episode right now that's exactly in Den's shoes right now.
Oh, absolutely.
To the T. And he's like, man, okay, this is what he went through. This is what I'm going through. Maybe I can figure it out. Maybe I can't figure it out. But just know that you're not the only person that is going through this, has gone through this, and is going to go through this.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And you took care of your house early, your house being your wife, where your kid was housed at. Yeah. And I didn't. Ease didn't. Well, Oz didn't. Den didn't. But once that little beautiful soul came out, bro, I didn't break down. Like, I didn't realize I needed her for him until she was in the delivering room. Absolutely. She felt expendable. I know she felt expendable, and I probably made her feel expendable because I was just so busy about growing financially or taking care of whatever I needed to take care of. So you took care of your house early, and it's going to pay dividends. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
For sure. I didn't take care of home.
But let's not get it twisted. It's work.
No, it's definitely work.
It's work. It's not just like ta-da. Like it's work. You know. You have to understand, man, especially with social media now, anybody can paint a picture of anything that they want to paint.
Facts.
That's why I always tell people, embrace the journey, man. It's going to be rough. You're going to have your ups, you're going to have your downs. And me right now at this point, getting this true moment of clarity, it's all kind of putting itself together, you know? Right. Like, hey, you a basketball enthusiast like all of us. It look good on paper. But when it's time to put sneakers to the court, is it gonna work?
Right.
That's a fact. It's a super fact.
But in the upcoming months, right? So after your child actually got here, I'm gonna start with you then. What was it like after she got here? Just the relationship. How did it impact the relationship?
All right, so I turned, like I said, once she hit my hands, it was game over. So I'll give you an example of what days look like for me. First, just like probably like 8 months when Sharice was like 8-9 months. I was out looking for jobs. I was about to graduate, I believe, and I'm like, yo, I'm looking for jobs. I'm gonna make this happen, whatever the case may be. So Sharice lived in Southwest. I lived in Uptown. So if you're from Philly, then you know that's on the other side.
With no expressway.
Of the world.
That's the other side of the world, right? So what it looked like, I worked at Germantown and Shelton at T-Mobile. So I worked there, got the job there by manifestation. That's another story for another day. But got that job, was working there. What I would do is I would work there for 8 hours. I would leave there, get on a bus. Once I get on the bus, get onto the subway, get off the subway, then get onto a trolley. After getting off the trolley, then I would walk down to Sharice's house. I would stay there until London fell asleep. London fell asleep in my arms. I put her down. The next morning, around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I would then leave and then go back to work. I would go home, take a quick shower. Sometimes I didn't even get that, and I would go back to work, and then I would come back. So I didn't have a car at the time. It was no way. That's what I'm saying. Like when she hit my hands, I knew what time it was. I knew what I needed to do, and I made that thing happen. I mean, and it was easy for me. Like I said, it was like a download, got downloaded and said, yo, you know, you need to do whatever it is that you need to do for this child. And at the time it was like the Lion King, right? Because it was like, you know, Simba was just trying to figure out his way, right? And his dad passes and it's like, what do I do now? And it's like, yo, look up at the stars, right? Look up at the stars and I got you. And that's how it was for me. I would just look up and I say, yo, help me, guide me, figure this thing out. I got you. And I just jumped into action.
So how did it benefit or did it hurt or help your relationship with London's mom, Sharice?
Well, I would say that it definitely helped our relationship because, you know, just her seeing me as a father to the child. Anytime that a woman sees, and I'm not going to say anytime, but most of the time when a woman sees how nurturing, how caring that man is to a child, then, you know, it is a special place in their heart that they have. And then that bond for us gets better, you know, because we're doing this now. We're in this together. It's just not me. It's just not you. We're actually in this together. And I think that for the first time, she saw that, you know, we actually are in this together.
Okay. What about you, East? How was it? How did it impact you guys' relationship?
Honestly, it impacted our relationship. There was some resentment. You feel what I'm saying? There was a lot of resentment. The resentment from her to me for not being emotionally available throughout the first, 9 months. That was real. Yeah. It was real. And again, I never missed any doctor's appointments. I was always there. I was always available. It's like I was picture perfect, right? But when you go behind the scenes, you're like, oh God, this guy's terrible. Like this, he comes home, he's zoned out. He don't even he's not here. He's just no longer here. I just wasn't available from an emotional perspective. Like I just wasn't there. I knew the right boxes to check because I knew that I needed to check those boxes. I knew that I needed to be there for her. But what about, during the middle of the night? What about during the day? You feel what I'm saying? It's not like, it's so hard for me to explain, right, what the resentment was based in, because if I'm able to explain everything to you guys now, everybody be like, no, you checked all of the boxes.
Right.
But it's those subtle hints, like there be times I'll be laying in the bed and I'm zoned out, looking straight into the ceiling. And, me looking straight into the ceiling had nothing to do with my love for her, had nothing to do with if I wasn't going to be, like I knew I was going to be there. I knew I wasn't going anywhere, right? But this was an issue that I had with myself, and I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only man.
You are not. I'm looking.
That I am not the only man that went through this predicament, that went through this entire situation, right? Where you love the person that you're dealing with, but now the real question is, do you love yourself enough? Right? Do you love yourself enough to do the right things? Because now all the questions are popping up. Because guess what? We have so many different other influences, from music to television to the people that's in our communities. How many times you see somebody just drop off some Pampers and bounce? Yo, is that the right way? Right? Like, yo, is that the right way to do it? How many times have you seen somebody, drop off some McDonald's to one child, right?
Yo, that's a real
Drop
story.
off some McDonald's to one child and be like, yo, I did what I was supposed to do, right? And in my situation, when I'm looking at, my relationship with my father, it was more about, I seen how he fathered. Was that really the right way? Because I don't feel too bad about myself, right? So maybe this is the right way. Bro, I just dealt with so much, man. But I will say this. The first time my son hit my arms, man, like, I'm going to be honest with you, man. We was in the delivery room, He came out. I screamed. I was like, look at his fingers, look at his feet. I know he's mine. I know he's mine. You know what I'm saying? And it was a magical moment. And to be quite honest with you, from that magical moment, I never looked at my partner the same ever again. Right? So everything that I was feeling leading up to it, it was gone. Now I'm like, oh my God, this is a queen, this is a goddess. Like this is the gift that I was denying myself of, right? And this is in hindsight, right? While it was happening, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But in hindsight, I was like, yo, she's a goddess. This is the gift that she blessed me with. And today, Justice is over there, doing his thing.
Shout
I look at him.
Justice.
You feel what I'm saying? JC Boogie Oogie. I look at him and I'm like, in this lifetime, I've created a lot of things, from businesses to different ideas to so many different things that I've created. And to me, Justice is the greatest creation ever, And I thank my partner dearly because
Take your time, bro.
I thank my partner dearly because I just leave it like that. She's special. She's beyond special.
We got another Michael Jordan meme, man.
Man, it's the second one. Second one.
Listen.
In 3 episodes. It's cancer season, baby.
Listen.
It's cancer season.
Shout out to cancers, man.
Listen, like all jokes aside, she's a very special person. From the moment I met her, I knew that she was special. I knew that she was the one. Right? Now, how I went about certain things is completely different. But every time I look at Justice, I'm super duper clear that I picked the one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm about to put a box of tissues next time we record. We don't know.
Yo,
Yeah,
man,
I need
listen.
the water.
The
water's
I mean, listen, we talking heavy here, and we're figuring. We had to figure out this thing called life on our own.
And I think it's the first time that we're discussing, and we've talked about stuff over the phone, but in person, it's different.
It hit different.
And for eyes right now, the fact that JC is here and we're talking about this is probably striking a chord for him.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah. What about you? Like, did it? Again, I love your situation because you guys kind of figured it out.
I was crystal clear. Not having at that moment in time, I didn't have a close relationship with my mother or father at the time. So it was kind of me solo dolo with, my peers around me. But once I saw my son, first of all, he came out the womb flirting with the nurses. So I was like, oh yeah, this is my son for real. But I knew that, all right, it's go time, because my situation wasn't all is great. I think at that point in time I was working 2 jobs, So when I hear Den getting on the train going, I'm like, oh yeah, he was in heavy grind mode. I know that feeling. I was working 2 jobs. When I found out, he was coming, I was at work. It was like, hey, just got a phone call, got to go to the hospital. I'm like, all right, cool, we out. And my son was born. He had a slight condition, tachycardia, and I think Justice was already born. Justice was like maybe a month old, and I remember calling C, and I'm like, "Yo, C, man, he got this heart situation, man, and I don't know what to do, man. Like I'm crying, I'm emotional. I'm like, yo, C, man, we gotta pray, man. Pray with me on the phone, man. I just want my little man to pull it through." And he pulled through, man. 3 weeks in the NICU, going back and forth to the hospital every day. Shouts out to the dude I got in the accident with on the way to the hospital one day, man. Whoa. Rear-ended him, and I was like, yo, man, I'm sorry, my mind is not here, man. My son, he's like, man, you know what? Just go, man. We don't got to deal with none of this, man. Just go. And I said, well, how you know I'm not lying to you, man? He said, nah, man, I can see it in your face, and you seem sincere, man. So thank you, sir. Thank you for not messing me up with that, man.
Thank you, sir.
He might spin back now that she sees you on the podcast.
You know what, man? Yeah, but I mean, like I said, man, I really commend all of us for, you know, really doing what we had to do for our children and you know, working on ourselves and building. And here we are with our tribe, with our kingdom, and, you know, sharing the story with the world and other brothers out there and other women out there that, you know, may be experiencing this and knowing that, hey, you know, you're not the only one going through these situations or this situation right now. So push through, push forward.
Fellas, education is important.
Facts.
Yes.
You have to get educated on what it looks like for a woman to go through these hormonal situations. She becomes totally a different person, and that's just how it is. You know, I mean, that's biology and chemistry. So you want to know what happens then, and I think that's where we lack, in the Black and brown community. We lack education as men to know what we're going to expect, you know, what's going to happen, and how to handle it and deal with it.
Speaking of expectations, though, so
I didn't say expectations.
no, what to expect. You know, but speaking of expectations, my expectations didn't change when my son got here, and that was the issue. Is I thought that she was still going to cater to whatever my needs were. I was misled and misguided, misinformed, all of that, because real talk, because it wasn't about me. It's like, yo, like, cool, like, we got a kid now, but what about me? And that also led to another traumatic situation, because I felt lonely, I began to entertain other women. Right, so it's like, yeah, so here we are, the slippery slope, more pain and more trauma and more stuff that get us to where we are right now. So yeah, like, my son was a blessing, like especially looking back now. But at that moment, it's like, yo, like, well, what about me? Like I that loneliness that she felt for those 9 months, I felt in that first 3 months that he was here. It's like, yo, like, and then it a trickle effect, that slippery slope where, you know, you entertain other women, then you gotta. That was the beginning of our distrust in our relationship. Then what Jim Ryan said earlier, if it's raining outside and the roof is leaking, you can't go fix it. But then if it's not raining and you don't go fix it, it doesn't need fixing in your mind. So that's one of them things where my roof was leaking and I knew until it started raining, like, dang, I need to go fix it. Like, so, but I didn't fix it. That's one of them things I swept under the rug, and I just kept it moving. I never dealt with it. So, and I contribute that to, one, not taking care of my son's home at the time, then feeling those feelings of loneliness once he got here. So my response to that was, all right, well, if she can't give me what I need, I'm going to go get what I need. So as soon as somebody wants to go give me some attention, here I am texting back, and I, you know what I mean? Like, me too. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, like, my response during that time, like, my son, of course, was a blessing. I was a dad, and I kind of held my loneliness against her, that feeling of resentment, to where I kind of pushed her away. Come to find out, a few months later, she pregnant again with KL, and that response was like, okay, like we in the middle of a war right now, like a battle. So it's like, okay, like, it's not what we gonna do, but all right, well, we gonna figure this out, but kind of like we not together. I didn't reassure her at that time that it was going to be okay. So my first 48 both times was panic.
Yeah, I'm about to say my second. I had 3 of them. You know what I'm saying? So Lil Dennis was that. So, and it's different. It's different. It may be different every time, fellas. So again, that's why you want to get this education, right? Because with Sharice, I had that in London. I had that, you know, that love was still there for me, right? She was able to balance that to some sort. When Lil Dennis got here, there was no Big Dennis. Who was Big Dennis? You know what I mean? When it's time to go vacation, my bags stopped being packed. You understand what I'm saying? When it was time to do certain things, I wasn't getting that attention, and that literally drove me crazy. You know what I mean? Because that's what at that time I was still in trauma mode. So I needed her, or I thought I needed her at the time, and I became disconnected and unavailable to my son. So then I started to envy my son and started to be jealous of my son.
I felt that.
That's crazy to me.
So did
I had to admit that probably like a year after he was born. I said, well, how can I be jealous and envious of this kid? And it's like, you can, bro. You can, and you are. And you have to admit that, and you have to see it for what it is. And you have to really do some soul searching. I had to soul search so many different times so that way I can finally be a father to my son and be a partner to my partner. And fellas, we have to listen to us. You have to get the education. You have to know what goes into this. You have to understand as much as you possibly can.
Right.
Learn from I'm not going to say mistakes, but just learn from our experiences. This stuff is tough. And if you can learn from it and you can adapt, yo, great for you. That's why we do this. This is exactly why we're here. We want people to learn from what we had to go through so that way you guys don't have to go through that.
Right.
Minimize the learning curve. Right?
Minimize the
learning curve.
Dad,
Bars.
say it again.
You know, and one thing that I'll definitely leave our audience with is, this is gonna sound so corny, but don't juggle between two women.
Don't
Juggle between two
split
women.
your energy.
You can't split your energy. Don't juggle. That juggling creates, because you never know what's gonna happen. You never know what's gonna happen. You know, don't do it.
It will, things will even back out. They will go back. If you're in it and you're supportive, things will change. I know it's gonna feel like they won't change, and it's like, who is this woman in front of me and what the hell is going on? But it will. Those hormones will balance back out. Homeostasis will do its thing, and things will continue. And you're gonna be glad that you did not entertain and get pulled by that distraction, right? Because that's what it really is just a distraction. So, fellas, just hang in there. If you need anything from us, please hit us up. If you got questions, hit us up on Instagram. What's our joint?
Corny_dads.
Hold on. So then
dads.
you accepting DMs now?
I accept the DMs for questions and inquiries because this is really important.
Take advantage.
Yeah, for
Take
sure.
advantage.
We can't fit everything into 45 minutes.
You can't.
So, yeah, we here for you.
In the meantime, Marv, stay corny.
Stay corny, Marv.
That's so corny.